Okay, everyone. Welcome back. Today is August 23rd. The last video we recorded was on the 15th. So it's been a few days. It's been about a week. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about some triggers that I actually pulled. It took a little bit of research and digging and asking friends for favors and for advice. But based on, my background and experience and some of the buddies that I have, I think I felt I made the decision that was best for me and my family. So what I ended up doing was opening up an LLC based out of South Dakota. Um, you're probably thinking, well, you're in Chicago, Illinois is probably pretty strict in compliance and wanting you to pay them their taxes and their dues. So how and why South Dakota? Well, there's actually three states that offer business owners and entrepreneurs a lot more privacy than all the others. And those three states are Wyoming, Delaware, and South Dakota. And after talking to an attorney friend of mine, his favorite state was South Dakota. The reason being, there's a lot more privacy there. And what I mean by that is if you were to search for one of your friends or family members or someone you know that owns a business, like an LLC, for example, and type in their company's name and look them up on the, Better Business Bureau or the Secretary of State, their it's likely their name and address will come up. And when you file with South Dakota, what happens is you're hiring a registered agent. And what that does is if someone were to look up my business, say they just wanted to be nosy, someone was a weirdo, a stalker, I don't know, and they just wanted to find me and my address and my information, if they look up my business name, the name and address that's going to populate when they search my business is going to be the South Dakota registered agent's information, not mine. If anyone wants to sue me, if anyone wants to send me mail, because I don't have a brick and mortar, I'm starting an online retail business. My brick and mortar is my home. So obviously, I don't want my personal information out there any more than it has to. And so, what this registered agent does is receives my mail for me and forwards it on to me. And that way, no one has to have my name, my address, and no one can contact me directly. It's like an added layer of protection. It's kind of like they're the middleman, they're the gatekeeper. They're there to stop anyone and say, "Hey, who are you? What do you want Crystal for? What do you want to talk to her about?" Okay, well, we'll handle that. We'll get this to her for you. Don't worry. And I like that a lot. I was willing to pay a few extra bucks if I had to. It didn't mean much to me. So if you go to the South Dakota Secretary of State's website, it's sosenterprise.sd.gov, and it'll tell you who can file here. Anyone wishing to form or register a business entity that is not currently registered with the South Dakota Secretary of State. Okay, so anyone. And what you will need to register or e-file your business entity. If you wish to file electronically, they accept Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express, debit or credit cards. Customers who do not wish to file electronically, they may still be able to use this tool to create the forms, choose to print, mail it in. It's like a $15 paper processing fee. Just do it online. It's so much simpler. You can call their customer service line. Someone picks up right away. They will hold your hand and walk you through the process and answer any questions that you have. It's very fast, quick turnaround time. I want to say within like the next day or two, I got an email that it was completed and approved and everything was done. So that's one thing there. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is when you file with them, you'll get your articles of incorporation, which a lot of people will be asking for as you're initially starting up and registering your business. So immediately, like thereafter, I went and um, opened up my Chase business checking account. And this is because if you're legitimately trying to run an LLC, I heard a lot of people say, hey, if you're selling your product, your clothing line, whatever you're making t-shirts, sweatshirts to family and friends, and they're paying you cash, and you bump into a friend at the gym and they're like, hey, Crystal, I'm running a marathon. Can you make me this sweatshirt? You charge them $40, whatever you charge, and then they pay you cash. I mean, that's your choice. That's fine, right? But for me, when I'm doing an online actual retail store, I have to have a shopping cart. I have to be able to charge and calculate taxes in different states. And so, um, I want to be sure that I have a business checking account, a business credit card, a business debit card, so that I can keep track of all of my expenses and charges separately, because the IRS and as we're hearing, like this administration is hiring 87,000 additional IRS agents, and they're arming them for some reason. Arming them. Okay, I'll just let that sink in for a second, because that was really, um, why does the IRS need to be armed? Pretty shitty if you ask me. Um, so yes, they're hiring 87,000 new IRS agents. They'll be armed. And who do you think they're going to be auditing and looking after, right? You think they're going to be giving Bill Gates a hard time? You think they're going to be riding his ass? No, they're going to be riding our ass, right? The small business owner. During COVID, it was kind of funny how a lot of the bigger businesses and corporations all profited, right? Like Amazon didn't blink or miss skip a beat, right? But my little local mom and pop shop, who owns this Italian restaurant around the corner, had to shut down and practically got pushed out of business. So it's always the little guy who ends up suffering. So what I'm telling you is don't cut any corners, right? Do all the right things up front to protect yourself, because you don't want to butt heads with the IRS. And so keep your finances, expenses, and all that separate, and you'll be able to take all your deductions. And, there are many benefits for small business owners. And if you're doing it the right way, you'll be able to reap those benefits, right? So, let's see here. All right. So I opened up my Chase checking account online. It was super easy. All I had to do was obviously plug in a little information and upload my articles of incorporation, which I was able to download like same day or next day from the South Dakota registered agent. And by the way, with the South Dakota registered agent, that total cost, I want to say was no more than $300. And that was for everything. They were going to charge an extra like $50 to file for an employer identification number and EIN, but I said I would go ahead and do that myself. I gave it a go on the IRS site, and it's quite easy. And if you do go the route of a South Dakota registered agent, Wyoming, Delaware, the three states that I mentioned earlier, when they ask for the address of the business and zip code and all that good stuff, make sure you enter in their information, not your own. So getting the EIN was easy. It's a quick, simple way to save $50, I guess you can say. I did mine myself. If I can do it, you can do it. Believe me. Um, so then I took the EIN and the articles of incorporation and uploaded to Chase's website to get approved for the business checking account. They approved it within like a few days. Debit card should be on its way. I already bank with Chase, so I was able to just link that to my personal account as well, my personal checking and savings. And you have to fund it within, I believe like 60 days, or they'll automatically shut it down. So I just transferred some money over, online, easy peasy, one and done. The next thing I did was apply for a credit card with Chase. And they have a few, but the one that I found that was going to benefit me the most was the Chase Unlimited card. What it is an introductory offer of 0% interest on all purchases for the first year. So if you buy anything, like if you need a printer, you need a computer, you need to purchase like webcam, lighting, whatever you need, um, put that on the credit card. You got a whole year with no interest charge, zero zip nada to pay it off. Free interest is the only way to go. You know that I'm an advisor. You see that CFP Northwestern University. I know it's sliding down. I need to fix it. But yes, I'm in finance and I'm a numbers gal. So you don't want to pay interest charges. That is the biggest waste of money. And let me tell you, that rabbit hole, it is so easy to go down. Like, how easy is it for that instant gratification to get something that you don't have the money for right now, stack it up on your credit card, and then have like 17, 18, 19, 20% interest on it? I mean, if you have to, you have to, but God willing, you have a plan, like an actual solid plan, and are able to turn this around and pay it back. But in my mind, in my opinion, no one should be paying interest. Like, even on my home loan, my interest is 3.87%. So if your home's like 5 or 6% interest rate, totally going off the wall here, but you need a refi. Yeah, so apply for the credit card, 0% interest for 12 months on all purchases. In addition, if I spend, I think it was like $2,500 in the first 90 days or something like that, they're going to give me a $750 statement credit. So cool. So super cool. 750 bucks is 750 bucks at this point. Like, I've spent so much money that's good enough for me. And then in addition, another feature of this card is, the reason it's called the unlimited card is because you get 1.5% cash back, unlimited, no restrictions, no barriers, no boundaries. So most cards will say, yeah, you get 1.5%, up to $25,000 a year. And if you're spending more than $25,000 a year, after that, you're not getting that 1.5 or 2% back. So this is truly unlimited, 1.5% back, Chase Unlimited card. So free purchases, free finances on purchases for 12 months, 0% interest, a $750 statement credit, plus 1.5% cash back. They had a neat little calculator on there as well that says, like, hey, if I spend $5,000 in the first year, how much will I get back with that 1.5% plus the $750 statement credit? And it'll calculate it for you. It's pretty cool. So I applied for that. Someone to give me that 1 year with no financing leeway in the beginning is actually a big sigh of relief, right? And then once that 1 year's up, you can go and apply for another one that has like 18 or 20. I came across a couple cards that were like 2 years, 0% interest on purchases. And of course, that was like really the way I wanted to go. But then they had none of the other features. They didn't have like the cash back, and they did not have the $750 statement credit. So I mulled it over for like a few minutes and then just decided to go with that one. So if within like the next year something happens there and I need another like year or two free interest, what I'll do is just go look for another card and apply if I have to, if I need it. Okay, so then I went on SBA.gov, Small Business Administration website. They have a ton of resources. Anyone who's starting up a business, new, even if you're not just quite new and you have questions about, where can I borrow money from? Who's got the best interest rates? It's like an all-in-one stop shop. And so what I did there was say, hey, I'm a new business and I what type of loans or what could I qualify for? Like, what sort of benefits are there for new small business owners? And they have great resources on there and programs for minorities, for women business owners. And so I clicked on the one for women and um, found out that you can get like a business loan. I mean, obviously it goes up until like the millions if you need it, but I don't. But I applied for a loan and the application's free. And if you're approved, the interest rate was only like 3.78% or something like that. It was in the threes. It was very low. So that's pretty cool because you can leverage that in several different ways, right? Like, let's think about this. You can either use that money to buy equipment and help start up your business. In my opinion, if you think you're going to slide by without like advertising, um, and marketing, I think you're making a serious misstep and mistake. If people don't know you exist, it doesn't matter how great your product or service is. Word of mouth is only going to take you so far. Um, I've come across a lot of great ways um, that you can advertise and get your stuff out there. So like there's now these blip billboards where they're not just so static, um, one photograph on a billboard as you drive by. They're actually like 5 or whatever second video blips. So like like for me, for example, I'm doing a clothing line. Um, I can actually rent a billboard blip that's in New York Times Square, downtown Los Angeles, like pretty much anywhere. And I can put like a 5 second mashup, 10 second mashup of my apparel, like people wearing it, modeling it, and looking all, cool and awesome. So pricing, you get to set your own pricing. Like you can say my max budget for each day is $50 or it's $80 or it's $10. And then you can also choose to advertise all day or only during like prime times. So I'm no expert on it. I'm learning myself. So I'll like, as I learn more and if I use it and feel like it was worth it, I'll let you know. But I do have a consultation with someone. I'm going to try to get more information on it because I do think it's a great idea. I work downtown Chicago. And even though I only live like 14 miles west of downtown, and rush hour traffic coming and going each way would be like an hour and 20 minutes easily. So going to work in the morning, I'm like, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go on the expressway. And all along the way, there's billboards. And so you look up and you're stuck in traffic. There's only so much you can, so many times you can like glance down at your phone, right? Um, and you can, like I said, you could choose which billboard. So I thought that was fantastic. And then of course there's traditional billboards, um, social media, advertising, website. I think your website's got to be beyond average. I know everyone's talking about like Wix and all this other stuff, and not everyone has like $2,000-3,000 to come out of the gate swinging with a more than average website. I actually have a guy, you know, all Italians have a guy, right? But I have a guy, I do, who did a website for my cousin who has a construction company, and he's now working on my website. He's the sweetest thing in the world, and he is so patient, so kind, so understanding, will answer your calls, texts, emails, middle of the night, whatever. He has a full-time job, and so he does do this like on the side, but he is darn good at it. And if you want his information and you're interested, let me know because if you email me or message me, I will ask his permission and share his information with you if you need a website. I mean, he's charging like $500, and these are above average websites. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of resources that I found um, that I really enjoy. Um, and some other things that I want to talk about before I get into that is some really awesome tax deductions for small businesses. This is kind of a part of what I did um, in my most recent career. So I think when transacting with cash, if that's your way, then that's your way, right? But if you're really trying to like take your business to the next level, gain, nationwide exposure, like someone on my website can order clothing from Alaska, right? I would never get that if I just stuck to my little friends and family circle here in Chicago and just took cash from them. I mean, if it were booming and that were fine, that would be great. But for those of you who do want to take it to the next level, here's I want to talk a little bit about some top tax deductions for small business owners. So like number one is business meals. This there is a specific, standard you have to follow. But the cool thing is with business meals, they just have to be in a restaurant. So you can deduct 50% of food and drink purchases that qualify. And to qualify, the meal needs to be related to your business. Like, you said, like if my husband and I went to a restaurant and we were like, oh my gosh, we have like all these decisions to make and all this stuff to talk about. Or if I sat down with my web guy, my web designer, and was like, let's go to lunch, let's get out of here. We're hungry, we need to take a bite. And let's talk about, you know, what we're going to do for the website. Ask me, fire away all the questions you have for me. It just needs to be related to the business. The meal needs to be related to your business. And you need to keep the following documentation so that you can pass it along to your accountant or yourself. Keep it as, on your records for whoever's doing your taxes. You need the date and location of the meal, business relationship of the person you dined with, and the total cost of the meal. So I find the easiest way to do this is like maybe keep track on an Excel sheet. You don't have to be like a guru or expert. It's just type in the date, the restaurant, the person you ate with, what their title is in relation to the business. Just put like web developer, the total cost of the meal with tax, and just be like, hey, we went to, Michael's Steakhouse in, downtown Chicago. Um, Honestly, the easiest way also is just to keep your receipts and jot down notes on the back of the receipt about the details of the meal. If you're smart, you might want to like actually scan those into your computer so that later on, God forbid, you don't lose them or they get ruined or the ink smears off or they look blank one day. Because I do feel like IRS audits are coming our way. This is amazing, by the way. This is a grande nitro brew with vanilla sweet cream. Favor. It's gone up. Like it's almost $7 now. It's crazy. So that's like a real treat now. All right, work-related travel expenses. So all expenses related to business travel can be written off at tax time, including airfare, hotels, rental car expenses, tips, dry cleaning, meals, and more. Um, if I were you, I would reference the IRS website for a full list of deductible business travel expenses. And for it to qualify as work-related travel, your trip must meet the following conditions. It must be necessary to your business. The trip must take you away from your tax home. So, like the city or area in which your company conducts its business. You must be traveling away from your tax home for longer than a normal work day, and it must require you to either sleep or get some rest while en route. So, like for example, I got an email about a wholesaler um expo in LA, and I considered going, but it was like such a short notice that I was like, nah, it's not gonna work out. But had I decided to go, my airfare, my meals, Uber taxis, whatever, to and from the airport or while traveling, the hotel expenses, tips, all that would have been included. So that's another thing. Like it's a great way for you to get out there and meet people, test a fabric, actually touch the clothing if you're in that line of business. Go to expos and trade shows. Those are awesome. So next we have work-related car use. If you use your car strictly for work-related purposes, you can write off all costs associated with operating and maintaining it. If your car use is mixed between business and personal, you can only deduct the costs that are related to the business usage of the vehicle. So you can claim the mileage you use for business driving, either by deducting the actual miles traveled for business, or by using the standard mileage deduction, which this year in 2022 is 56 cents per mile driven. So not bad. Business insurance, right? Like depending upon what business you're in, you're going to need like you're going to need insurance to cover yourself, right? This is America. You can be sued for like literally anything. Copyright infringement, they're doctors and dentists. They'll need to be insured against, malpractice. So you definitely going to want to make sure that you have all the right insurance and coverages for the type of industry that you're in. But you can deduct the cost of your business insurance on your tax return. If you have a home office or use a portion of your home to run your business, like I do, like this is my home office. You can deduct your renter's insurance costs as part of your home's office write-offs as well. Home office expenses. So there's been a lot of back and forth with this with the IRS. And under the new simplified IRS guidelines for home office expenses, home-based small businesses and freelancers can deduct $5 per square foot of your home that's used for business purposes. $5 per square foot, up to a maximum of 300 square feet. So if you're using 500 square feet, no. The maximum's 300. $5 per square foot, maximum 300 square feet. It has to be used exclusively for business, right? Like if in the evening, your spouse or your kids utilize that room to play video games and watch movies, it's not really going to fly with the IRS. It needs to be exclusively dedicated space to your business. Phone and internet expenses, deductible. Business interest and bank fees. Bet you didn't know that. If you borrow money to fund your business activities, like I was just talking about earlier, I applied for a business loan. The bank will charge you interest on the loan, as I mentioned, right? Like that 3.78%. Well, come tax season, you can deduct the interest charge both on the business loans and business credit cards. That is so awesome. For all of you out there just using your personal credit cards, and paying those higher interest fees or paying the interest fees period and not deducting them, you're missing out. You can also write off any fees and additional charges on your business bank account and credit card, such as monthly service fees and any annual credit card fees. So if you got like an Amex that charges you $100 a month or whatever, you can write those off. That's awesome. My favorite, or one of my favorites, depreciation. When you deduct depreciation, you're writing off the cost of a big ticket item, like a car or machinery over the useful lifetime of that item. So rather than deducting it all in one go for a single tax year, businesses usually deduct depreciation for long-term business investments that are more costly. So they're reimbursed for the expense over the entire useful life of the item. So here's how to calculate depreciation essentially, right? Depreciation equals the total cost of the asset. So say you bought a vehicle, right? Because you're like, oh my gosh, I've got this used car and now I'm doing so much more driving. I'm running to this, wholesaler to pick up this, fabric or clothing. I'm running here, I'm running there like a chicken with my head cut off. Like I need a more reliable vehicle. Like I don't have an SUV currently. I have a Mustang. Can't fit anything in there, like not even in the trunk. My kids usually, oh my God, you should see my daughter getting out of the back seat. It's comical. No one can get out of my car except for me. They hate it. So anyway, So say I say, okay, enough. Like I need an SUV to go pick up like all these boxes. Like, let me show you. I don't know if you can see. I just got like a little shipment in, and these are just some sweatshirts and hoodies and things that I'm like testing out from this one new company that I'm buying from. And um they're actually located locally here. And if I pick it up, I don't have to pay shipping, which um they might have included free shipping anyways, but you have to order like a high minimum. So anyways, whatever. Like it's nice out, right? Say I just want to take the ride or whatever. I want to pick it up. So now it's like, oh my God, I really do need a truck. Like I like have a German Shepherd, I have my kids, like they're coming with me because they're out of school, whatever. Now I need an SUV. So I go and buy this big ticket item, my car. So basically, if I want to depreciate, it's depreciation equals the total cost of the assets. So say the truck is $60,000 divided by the useful lifetime of the asset. So, obviously the IRS has standards for everything, like commercial buildings. If you buy a commercial building, like say you start booming and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to buy my own building to work out of. You can, under the maker's depreciation method, the useful lifetime of a commercial building is 39 and a half years. Residential, 20, I believe it's 27 and a half. Office equipment and furniture is 7 years. And I think like office supplies, like laptops and stuff like that, are 5 years. And I think, don't quote me on this because I really should be looking it up, but I think cars are 5 years too. So $60,000 truck divided by 5 years, that's your depreciation. Professional service fees. Ooh. At my last job, we charged people like $12,000 to do their initial assessment. And then we would charge them anywhere from like 2,000 to like $5,000 a month to be assisting. Well, we would assist them with like tax planning, estate planning, business succession planning. If they're currently up and running but feel like they're hitting a wall, or they're just too busy and all of a sudden they can't juggle all the things they thought they could and they needed a little bit of assistance and help. We would review their last 2 years tax returns and all kinds of things for them. It was very in-depth. And so those professional service fees that we charge them every month, those are deductible. Legal accounting, bookkeeping services, if you got a bookkeeper, those are all deductible for tax purposes. If you use accounting or bookkeeping software for your business, that would also qualify as a tax deduction. If you're having trouble determining whether a particular professional service expense is for work or personal use, there's obviously some guidelines from the IRS that you can look into, but I think it's pretty, should be pretty common sense to distinguish what's personal and what's business. Salaries and benefits. If you're a small business owner with employees, you can write off their salaries. Or if you're thinking about hiring someone because you're like getting to that point where you're teeter-tottering and it's scary. You're like, oh my God, do I really want to pay someone like 50 grand a year? You want to like hug it and own it and like keep that 50 grand in your pocket and stunt your own growth. No, don't do that. Like if you're growing that fast, or if you've made it to that point, like congratulations, that's awesome. Don't stunt your own growth even more by denying yourself the help that you need. Salaries and benefits are a write-off. Benefits and even vacation pay on your tax returns. There are few requirements for writing off salary and benefit expenses, right? But it's nothing that you can't do. The employee is not a sole proprietor, right? They're not a partner and they can't be an LLC member in the business. Their salary is reasonable and necessary. You're not going to sit there and hire your mom because you love her and pay her $200,000 a year and then get to write that off. Not going to happen, right? If she's printing labels and like posting stuff on social media for you, she's not going to, they're not going to find her salary to be reasonable. The services delegated to the employee were provided. So, meaning, what does that mean? what you actually ask the employee to do, the things you delegated to the employee, they were provided. Charitable contributions, you can deduct charitable donations that you make to qualifying organizations. It has to be a qualifying organization. If your business is set up as a sole proprietorship, LLC, or partnership, you can claim these expenses on your personal tax forms. So if your company is a corporation, you can claim charitable donations on your corporate tax return, your 1120. If your tax is an S corp, that's an 1120S. Educational expenses you incur. So courses and classes related to your field of work, seminars and webinars, trade publications and subscriptions, books related to your industry, all those little subscriptions that you have. Like my husband subscribes to like so many cool apps and things that help make our everyday life that much more easier. Those are going to be deductible. That's just like really awesome. Let's see here. If you borrow money in order to make investments, you can write off the interest paid on the loan. We kind of went over that. But you can deduct the interest up to the point that it matches what you earned in investment income. So it's a little bit different. Let's see here. Medical expenses. You can claim both insurance premiums and medical care expenses, including doctor's fees, prescription drugs, and home care. If you're self-employed and pay for your own health insurance, then you can deduct your health and dental care insurance premiums. So my beautiful sister-in-law, she's gorgeous and fabulous. Any man would be so lucky to have her. She's a hairstylist, a really kick-ass hairstylist, and she's been doing it straight out of like high school. She went straight to a well-known school for it, and she's amazing at it. Her clientele base has burst through the seams, and this poor girl can't even catch a break. She's so busy. She pays for her own health insurance. It's $650 a month. I think she just told me this like 2 days ago, actually. That's a lot for a single gal. Well, she is self-employed. She can deduct that. It's a deductible expense. Retirement contributions, you may not to be to the point yet where you're thinking about putting money away, but if you contribute to an IRA, individual retirement account, doing so helps reduce your taxable income. This is like an above the line deduction, right? Like this comes straight off the top before you're taxed even. These are my favorite types of deductions. So your total IRA contributions can't exceed the total income you earned. If you only earned $2,000 that year, you can't make a $6,000 IRA contribution. So it's either the $6,000 or the amount that you earned, whichever is greater. Or whichever is less, I should say. If you earn 2,000 that year and the maximum contribution for 2022 is 6,000. So you have 2,000 here, you made 6,000 is the max contribution for that year. You can't go over 2,000 if you only made 2,000. You made 3,000, you can't go over 3,000. Advertising and promotion, holy cannoli, like how far are you going to get without advertising and promoting yourself, right? You can fully deduct expenses related to promoting your business, including digital and print advertising. Hello, those billboards that we were just talking about that I love so much. Website design, my buddy I just told you about. Email me if you want his information, because I am telling you, like, if you can create a banging website through Wix, God bless you, but I have better to do when I'm trying to start up a business. Website design and maintenance, and the cost of printing business cards. Client and employee entertainment. If you take a business client out, you can deduct the expenses as long as you discuss business during the meeting and the entertainment takes place in a business setting for business purposes. So you can deduct 50% of the cost of these entertainment expenses. And you can also deduct as much as 100% of the cost of social events held for your employees. So like when I was in finance, every year we had this like annual event. We would invite some of our top clients and have all kind of like expensive goodie free giveaways for clients who referred other clients to us, for clients who were with us for, hitting milestones for 10, 20 years, whatever, loyalty and all that good stuff. We would hold it at a really fancy restaurant. catering and, open bar, the drinks. So that is a business expense. That's a client event, essentially. So for someone like me who's doing clothing, I might want to do something like on the runway, do my own little fashion show. I want to link with some influencers, um, get some people to drop a promotion for me on their Instagram page, Facebook page, and even do like a live event held in person. Those are all very great things. And another thing is startup expenses. I just started up this year, August of 2022. If you launched a new business venture in the latest tax year, you can deduct as much as $5,000 in startup expenses that you incurred in the lead up to your business launch. That can include costs associated with marketing your new business, travel, and training. I mean, I'm way past the $5,000 mark at this point, but I'll take it, right? So like that's going to be 5,000 above the line deduction straight off the top. So if you and your spouse made $100,000 this tax year, but you also started up a business, the startup costs say were 6,000, they'll take the 5,000 right off the top. So instead of making are being taxed at 100,000, they really will tax you as if you earn 95. So it's $5,000 right off the top, above the line to deduction. So basically, business tax deductions work by lowering your taxable income, right? Thereby lowering the amount of tax you owe to the government as part of your tax return. Okay, we're lowering your taxable income. So, it's really the job of your CPA or accountant to kind of help you determine all of this. But the more educated you are, the more knowledgeable you are, the more you're going to save. As I mentioned at my last firm, we helped people with tax planning. And I'm going to tell you right now, they would be in business for years. We would do a review of their last 2 years' tax returns, and we would say, hey, did you know you could have rented your property back to yourself for your business for a maximum of 14 days a year? It's called the Augusta rule, which originated out of Augusta, Georgia, when they had the golf tournaments there in Georgia. People who own property like on or near the golf course would leave their homes and rent it out for like 14 days maximum a year and charge top dollar because people love these golf tournaments. I mean, we're talking like Tiger Woods and stuff. So they would rent out their whole house for 14 days and charge like $2,000 a day. Well, guess what? $2,000 a day times 14 days a year, that's $28,000. And that's completely legitimate. Take that $28,000 times your 37% tax bracket, because it's likely you're in the 37, the highest, tax bracket in my opinion. And that'll be your real tax savings. So let me do a little math here really quickly. Let's say $28,000 times 0.37, that's $10,360. Real dollars pulled off your tax return off the top, not taxed. So what that means is you're like, okay, Crystal, I don't live in freaking Augusta, Georgia, and there's no golf tournament over here. That's just the name of the IRS rule. Okay, it's called I think it's the 280A rule. What I'm telling you is that you can rent your own property back to yourself for 14 days a year max. You can do it to host meetings, to host conferences, events, client events, exhibitions, if you're into art or clothing and having like those runway shows or whatever. Any business meeting, any conference, right? So like I live in Chicago, I can Google what are people charging to rent out a space similar in square footage to my house in a downtown setting per day. And I can take that number, okay, per day. So say it's $2,000 a day. I can like say I want to, say, hey, I'm going to have a conference and, I want to rent out a space. And they say, okay, we're going to charge you, it's $2,000 a day, by the way. You don't have to do it 14 days straight. Like I can do 1 day in January, 3 days in March. I could do 2 days in September. Like it doesn't matter. It's just 14 days a year. Okay. And if the total, say I find this, space and it's, actually you can go to like peerspace.com and just like put in your zip code and find something with similar square footage. Like my house is, close to 2,000 square feet. Something like that to rent downtown. Do you know what that would cost in downtown Chicago? Like an arm and a leg. So if it say was $3,000 a day, times that by 14 days a year, and then times that by the 37% tax bracket, that's the savings you would get. My point to you is that like every single time I would check a client's tax return, they never had it on there. And then I would mention that to them as an opportunity that their CPA may have overlooked. They go back, we meet with their CPA because we always try to collaborate, right? We want to be friends. And they would tell their CPA, are you aware of the Augusta rule? Do you know about the Augusta rule? And you know what they say every time? Yeah, I know. Yeah. And then the business owner would say, well, why haven't you mentioned it to me? I could have been saving like 40,000. I had a client in Scottsdale, Arizona, beautiful mansion. And had they been doing that for 14 days a year, given the area and the type of home that they had, they would have been saving, I think it was like $47,000 a year on their tax return, and this is not even including all the other awesome deductions they would have gotten. Um, and so they were pretty upset at their accountant, but they had had this person for over like 20 years and they were like, oh my God, like, okay, whatever, like just start over going forward. We're going to do that. Okay. And we did. Um, so that's what we got paid for. So if you guys have any questions or anything, like I really love this stuff. It's very interesting and it's very exciting for me. I would be happy to answer your questions or chat with you. Because I know how hard it is, right? Like it's very scary. This is very um it's a risk, right? Like you're putting so much. It's not just your time, right? You're putting your credit on the line, you're putting your finances on the line. You might be bickering with your spouse or, people in your family might be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're crazy. Go back to your 9 to 5. You make such good money there, have great benefits. But people don't understand that like when you're on this hamster wheel and you're just going through the motions and all of a sudden you're just, you know, your boss emails you, they're not so nice. The stress starts to pile up and you start to like question yourself like what am I doing, am I even happy anymore, like do I even like what I do anymore? And I did, like I love what I do, I just didn't like who I was doing it for. They weren't such great people, and the fact of the matter is they were getting rich and I was barely getting a raise each year. There was like 2 years straight where I didn't even get a raise. And look at the inflation right now, right? Like with this administration. So it's like I had clients, and I mentioned in my first video that were like 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. And a lot of them are on YouTube right now. And I won't say no names, right? But I would watch their videos and I'd be like, and I look at their tax return when I was reviewing it and I'd be like, oh my God, like this person is really making like $2 million a year right now for this. And I'd be like, what am I doing wrong? I said those words to my husband so many times. Like, what am I doing wrong? Um, I am familiar with tax planning. Um, I am familiar with estate planning. I am familiar with business succession planning, partnerships, how to leverage life insurance, the things that you should have to protect yourself that a lot of people don't want to pay money for, but you really do need to have to come full circle. So if you're at all interested in talking or anything like that, please let me know. Um, because I know how scary and how tough it can be. So this is our second video. Today's August 23rd. I've filed for the LLC. I've filed for a wholesale vendor number so I can buy clothing in bulk and wholesale. And a cool feature of that license is they waive taxes. on the purchases, file for that, business checking account, business credit card, applied for a loan, applied for my own EIN, registered my LLC in South Dakota so that I have that extra layer of privacy. They're my registered agent. Anyone who tries to contact me for anything, especially BS and nonsense, wasting my time, they catch all that and they'll forward mail or communications to me. So it doesn't come directly to me. And my name and address are not out there. It's private. So again, that's the progress I've made since the first video I made on the 15th. I'm very happy and excited. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for following and taking this journey with me. This is really new and step one for me. So I really look forward to chatting with you guys and to continue on. So I will talk to you guys soon and thank you so much for everything. Okay. I'll put my contact information down below in this video. So if you have any questions or want to reach out to me, if you want to know who's making my website because you need a website guy, let me know. Be glad to help. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.